Restoring really bad rear seats, or it could be front seats as well, but in this instance, restoring rear seats in your classic car. Let's get to it. What's going on, guys? Matt over here, Lethal Garage, and today we are going to be restoring some rear seats to my 71 Camaro. Now, my Camaro is definitely a project car. Lots to happen. We just got the rear deck back there, the rear tray, package tray. So that way the rear seat can actually be there. Previous owner had put full roll cage, ripped everything out. So we salvaged a new window tray, but we got to get the rear seats in. And mainly we got to get the rear set up in a way to work with our mini tub. So in this instance, we're going to be breaking down the old seats because I bought used ones, because when I got this car, it was literally a shell, gutted shell. And I picked up some old seats out of a 73. Purchased them from a guy. They are in really bad shape. Well, they're in rough shape, but the one thing that I needed from this is the frames, and the rest I don't care. It came out of a blue interior, whatever, but in this instance I just want the frames, so that way I can get them media blasted, repainted, or powder coated. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go, but today we are going to rip off the covers and see what the frames look like. They look like they're in pretty decent condition, and again, I think if we just media blast and get the rust off, we'll be in a much better place. So let's get to the details and start ripping this thing apart. These seats are in rough shape. I'm not reusing the coverings. Now, in some instances, some of you guys may want to use your factory OEM covers, and in that instance, this process becomes a much more tedious because you got to be really careful to not rip it. Maybe you want to replace the foam in the seats or something like that. This process can be done very delicately to not rip anything, but as you can see, the factory vinyl or leather doesn't last very well. Now, this is a set of generic hog, I believe these are called hog rings. I could be wrong there, but basically there's rings there. There's grooves inside this tool that allow you to pinch those rings and get them to fasten. I've also found these pretty good at being able to pull the rings out. Now I got a camera in the way, so, but you can use a different pair of pliers. In this instance, again, I don't care about my factory covers, so I'm literally just gonna take these out haphazardly and get them disconnected. Now, as you can see, I did a fair bit of damage to the vinyl. This vinyl is weathered, it's been outside, so it tore apart really easily. Now, if you want to do this really carefully, using 2 pairs of pliers to pull these rings apart is really good. I've even seen some guys use Dremels just to touch the edge to get the edge to pop, and that way it comes right off. Now, there's a lot of these rings holding this vinyl in place. You could see them all over the place. They even use the hog rings to hold the main spring or the main frames together. And in this instance, I'm literally just going to be turning, getting the pieces off, and getting them out. And it's really just rinse and repeat until you can get the whole thing out. Now, if you're like me, or in my instance, I'm expecting this foam to be very powdery on the top side, so this could be very messy. So don't do this inside your house. Who knows what kind of oils and junk have built up in it over the years. The main back of my rear seat looks like there was a rat nest in it at one point, so we'll see all sorts of stuff. Might put some gloves on and maybe even a mask when I get to those ones. But let's get this cover all the way peeled off and go from there. So now at this point that we have all the hog rings removed, we're going to go ahead and peel back the vinyl off of the frame. Oh, I missed a ring. So there's going to be a fabric layer. Mine's kind of welded to the vehicle. I'm gonna have to get a pair of scissors to cut this out. There was a fabric coating here at some point, that's just kind of stuck to the frame. And then there's, I don't know what that is. Oh, those are hog rings. So they even hog ring the foam to the frame. There you go. You ever sit down and wonder how many butts have sat in this seat? It's rough. It's super rough, but it's out. You can see the frame needs a little bit of cleanup and a lot of bit of media blasting and then rust repair. Any powder coating shop should be able to assist with blasting. What I'm going to try to do is see if I can get a first round media blast on the metal and see how bad it really is. I mean, those springs are pretty caked up, or it looks like the rust is eaten through. From my understanding, this car was a pretty wrecked car that sat outside, so these did get exposed to weather, basically water soaking through the seat. So you could see the top side that was touching the seat definitely has the most kind of rust cake up, and that could just be parts of the fabric or the foam built up on the bars themselves. We won't know until we actually get a blaster on it and see what it looks like underneath, if it's just super pitted and nasty metal or if it's salvageable. So hopefully it's salvageable, but you know, it's looking pretty good. Now you can see I have the back of this, I have the back seat and then the other rear seat still to do, so we'll get those done and we'll be right back once I get those all cleared up and we have just the frames. Well guys, there's a time where you could be stubborn and decide you want to try to fix something with OEM stuff, and then there's a time where you just say, you know what, it's just not gonna work. So this second seat's pretty bad. The metal is super weak. You can already see the springs are snapping. I tried to put this back together again with a new hog ring, and there was a loop here and it just shattered. This seat itself, I mean the base, all the parts and pieces on it are so far gone. Well, there's a time where you're stubborn and you're just like, I don't want to use the OEM seats and replace it, and then there's times where you just have to admit defeat. Now, the frame of this seat, it's pretty gone. It's toast. This wiring here is so rusted. Even the base plate here is so rusted. There's just no way I'm gonna salvage this. I already attempted to reattach the spring and it literally just shattered. Like, the metal is just so thin in some spots, there's just no way. Now, could I go out and get some of this gauge metal wire and rebend and redo this? Sure. Is it gonna be worth it? I don't think so. I might have to go down the route of getting new bottom seats. Might as well just do them both so they match. Unfortunately, you don't know what you have until you start peeling off the old coverings, and I think the old coverings are what did these seats in. They probably got sopped with water and just sitting on here just created an environment that had it rusting to no end. Now, I do think the upper side might be a little bit better because there's actually metal bars that I could see in there that look like still from factory. But these seats, you could just tell that they were sitting in water. I mean, it's just bad. I mean, it's really bad. And it's unfortunate because I really have liked to reuse these, or reuse as many possible. Now, can I go out and potentially find other bottoms? Yeah, but since I'm going to be buying new front seats anyways, maybe I'll find a company that makes aftermarket replacement rears. Probably have more support in them and just better overall. It's going to be a little more expensive, but we'll see what route I go. But overall, removing the seats and the foam isn't that difficult. If you are planning to reuse the vinyl that's on the seats, obviously you got to take a lot more time and be a little more cautious about it. But unfortunately for me, this is a setback because it's things that weren't on the list that I'm going to have to purchase now. And I guess at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, but you just kind of hope you got decent stuff and this is just, it's not good enough. So, and I would hate to put these in the car and not be able to bring them to a new state after spending so much money on all the other stuff, and then potentially down the road having issues with seats falling apart or metal springs poking through the fabric. That would not be bueno. So there we have it. Seats are a bust, but hey, we learned how to pull hog rings off and get vinyl and foam off. Yay. And yeah, the amount of rust dust that was flying up, I put a mask on because I wasn't going to inhale that. I didn't think that was a very good thing to do. But let me know what you guys did. Have you guys attempted to do this on your vehicles? If so, did you run into similar issues? Were you able to bring them back? Do you think I can bring these back? I'm gonna set these to the side. I'm not just gonna pitch them. I'd love to hear what your guys' feedback is, what you've done. Would it make sense to go out and buy some of this metal and do my own bends? It wouldn't be really hard to recreate these bends and just replace the sections that are really bad, which is in this chair's instance, our seats, it's the front leading edge and the wraparound wires. I think all of those could easily be replaced. Either or. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for checking out the video. As always, subscribe for more content around the 71 and the 6th gen and lots of other things we have going on. But until next time, guys, hope to see you on the road.